Kill those fans. We are live. Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Corner Call In Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Sports. Today is Sunday, November the 16th, 2025. We are about 22 hours removed from Auburn's big win over BYE and Alabama's loss to the Sooners of Oklahoma. Auburn is still looking for the replacement of Hugh Freeze. Got some interviews going on this past week, probably going to continue into this week. We'll talk about all of that and more. Whatever you want to talk about, give us a call, 701 779 9585. Here to address your comments, answer your questions, maybe push back on any any opining you want to do. Mr. Allen Head, Cole Pinkston is on assignment, so Mr. Allen Head is flying solo with me tonight. He's my maverick to my goose. He's the maverick to my goose.
I like it, man. You know what? I'm picturing Cole right now, just enjoying himself. Maybe, you ever see those pictures of like the dad that's covered in cigarette smoke that's getting ready to give his toast at his daughter's wedding? You know what I mean? Had a little too much to drink.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to picture Cole on his day off. You know what I mean? Just that hair going everywhere, that cigarette smoke in the background. That's Cole. That's just the way I picture it, right?
It's one way to do it. I was expecting Cole. He would have had on his olive green shirt tonight, Alan.
That's true.
I apologize for letting you down.
We can't all color coordinate, but that's okay.
Everybody can't be like y'all, man. Just chill out. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to get those phone calls as soon as possible. We want to hear from as many of you as possible. Don't forget, if you're in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, why don't you do some business and thank our sponsor of the show, Miss Jessica Andrus with First Realty. She is a freaking stud. She is a juggernaut of the real estate industry in the Auburn, Opelika area. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. A lot of fours in that number, but do not be deceived, folks. She's a freaking 5-star realtor. And I mean 5, not 4.5, not 4 3/4. She's freaking 5, perfect across the board, consensus 5-star realtor. She's fantastic in whatever it is that you need in the real estate industry. She can find you a home. She can sell yours, maybe looking for an investment property. She might need to know some things off the market. Got some deals going on behind the scenes. I don't know if that's true, but give her a call and ask her. 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. All right, Mr. Allen Head. Auburn is 6 days away from continuing the season under the leadership of DJ Durkin. We have heard a lot of buzz, and not just heard buzz, but we've read intel on auburnsports.com from Justin Hokanson, from J.G. Tate. We've kind of seen some interviews being taken place, confirmed at least. Alan, why don't you catch everybody up on kind of what has transpired over the past 6 to 7 days since our last show, kind of maybe where you think things stand with this coaching search?
Sure. Well, I think the number one thing that you need to kind of understand is that it was a data collection week last week for John Cohen. There were a lot of interviews that took place, not just with candidates, but with people that know these candidates, coaches that have coached against these candidates. It is a fact-finding mission for him. He's trying to do his best to vet people that he thinks are a good fit for Auburn and that want this job. And he's had a lot of interest. I mean, by his own words, he's interviewed multiple sitting head coaches. I think he said upwards of 7 was what was reciprocated to us through the interview that he gave to Justin. Now, Pete Nakos has done a phenomenal job kind of covering this from a 10,000-foot view, and Pete had some notes today. And my information would marry up to his. James Franklin does not seem to be someone who's going to be a factor down the stretch. He's kind of whittled it down some. Now, he listed more names. I'm going to make the list a little bit more narrow for people. I think what you're looking at is a group of Clark Lee, Eli Drinkowitz, John Summerall, and DJ Durkin. I think that's going to be the group moving forward. I know he listed Kenny Dillingham as somebody that is still a point of interest, but to me, that one feels I just don't see Kenny being involved down the stretch. I think he's distanced himself enough in the media at this point that for him to kind of turn on that, I don't think it would be a great look. And I don't believe he would be giving the assurances to Arizona State University that he's being given if he intended on taking a different job. So while he may have kicked the tires, I kind of see that one fading some. And then obviously Rhett Lashley, Brent Key, they do not feel as though they're on the table at this point. So a much more whittled down field this week. Stand by for surprises. They always happen in coaching searches. But I think those are the four you can kind of concentrate on moving forward.
And those four, again, were Clark Lee, DJ Durkin, John Summerall, and Eli Drinkwitz.
You got it.
Okay. Do you think the timeline is still 2 weeks? Are we still 2 weeks out?
I think it depends on the candidate, right? Because you're talking about, if you're talking John Summerall, now he's in contention for the American Conference Championship game. And does that delay an announcement if it were to be him? If it's Clark Lee, would you announce something with him potentially being in the playoff? Because Vanderbilt is very much on the edge of contention to make the playoff. Obviously, DJ Durkin, you can make that announcement. Eli Drinkwitz, Missouri's not making the playoff at this point, so there's nothing that would prohibit you from making him necessarily or announcing that. So again, it's going to be candidate specific. And so it really depends on where John lands and who he selects. And then obviously the willingness of that person, should they have other options to accept Auburn's offer. Because that is the one thing that I think everybody has to realize, with the exception of DJ Durkin right now. I think everybody else is either an active sitting head coach and or they're being pursued by other programs. If you look at Drink, he's being connected to LSU. He's being connected to Florida. Now he's running behind Lane Kiffin and whoever, who's going to win the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. John Summerall also has options. Arkansas, Virginia Tech, both interested in him. Potentially Ole Miss if it were to open, if Kiffin were to go to Florida. So there's a lot up in the air right now. And then Clark Lee, obviously, to me, that one's going to be really tough. I'm not saying that Auburn couldn't pull him. I mean, I think Auburn is a significantly better job than Vanderbilt. But you have to look at that in the situation that it is, that this is his alma mater. And not only is it his alma mater, but they're potentially pushing for a playoff berth. And I don't know how you walk away from that and there not be hard feelings between your school and you moving forward. That would make for a really tense situation.
A lot to uncover over the next 2 weeks, presumably 2 weeks. That's when Auburn hosts Alabama. Well, I guess in 13 days. Also worth noting, Auburn men's basketball team took number one Houston down to the wire, came up short 73-72. That game ending just a couple of hours ago, if you watched it or if you attended it. It was a very a statement, I thought, for Stephen Pearl in his first month of being a head coach, being able to do that. And I loved his quote after the game was, moral victories are for losers, and that's the kind of intensity and the passion and the mindset that I personally want in a head coach of any sport. Now, did you watch the basketball game, Alan? Were you able to do that?
I did. I was impressed. The progression from the first game where you're playing Bethune-Cookman, and yes, I realize that they're potentially going to be the SWAC champion and possibly an NCAA tournament team, but to see that game and how it was played versus how it was played today. And I'll be honest with you, I think Auburn got the benefit of the whistle on certain calls, but all the same, they went toe-to-toe with the number one team in the country. And when you can see that kind of growth from week one to now, I mean, it says that there's a higher ceiling on this basketball team than I think some people anticipated after game one. And what I would encourage people to do is to continue to kind of monitor their progress, because it's not necessarily where they are right now, but where are they going to be when they get to SEC play?
Right.
Because that's going to make their resume for them. They're going to play enough hard games that if they have some losses in these, it's not going to hurt them necessarily from a net standpoint. But conference play will kind of drive if they're going to make the tournament. And to me, you got to be 9-9 or better in conference for you to have a serious shot at making the tournament. And what I saw today is a team that's capable of doing that and more.
Absolutely. Let's get to the phone lines and see what our folks want to talk about. Zach, who do you have on us? Who do you have on for us?
8928. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
What's up, guys? This is Mitchie B from Atlanta.
Mitchie B from Atlanta. How about you, big dog?
How about you? Y'all having a good night?
Fairly well. Thanks for asking, Mitchie B.
Hey, wanted to get something I've been thinking about. Wanted to get y'all talking a little bit. Is just with the state of college football, NIL, rev share, the playing field is a little bit more level than maybe it used to be in the past. How do you measure success as a college football program year over year? What does success look like for Auburn to be a successful program? Do you need to be in the playoffs every year? Do you need to be winning conference championships every other year? I don't know that that's the case. I think at a bare minimum, you got to be in that conversation every year. But I'm just reading the boards and people go, oh, I got to make a splash higher. I'm like, I don't even know what that means anymore. And just curious what you guys think. Wanted to get your thoughts.
Good stuff, Mitchie B. That's a great question. I mean, are we talking sustained success, Alan? Are we perennial playoff? Is that where we are as far as measuring success?
Sure. Well, I think first and foremost, you got to look at what adding that ninth conference game and how that changes the dynamic of what you feel is a successful season. And I think people need to lay to rest the fact that you need to be undefeated for it to be a special season at this point. That's out the window to me, given the competition you're going to play year in, year out, because the SEC not only has 9 conference games, they mandate that you play another conference, a power conference opponent in addition to that. So you only get 2 gimme games now, which makes it incredibly hard, specifically if you have injuries. Then he introduced the playoff, and I think that's a valid point. Probably playoff contention. I mean, I think sustained success for me is you need to be 8-9 wins or better every year, and then you've got where you're making the playoffs every 3-4 years, right? Or maybe more frequently than that. I think that would be a successful run at Auburn, and that would kind of marry up to what I would say is arguably your best coach, even though Shug Jordan is phenomenal. You can't really argue with what he did. But Pat Dye averaged 8 wins or better predominantly throughout his career. And granted, that was on an 11-game schedule, so maybe he was closer to 9. And so if that were your measuring stick, I wouldn't argue or push back on that. But that's the ballpark for me, and making the playoff. I don't think you got to win conference titles anymore. I don't.
I hear you.
Because there's so many teams in the conference. And realistically, sometimes are you better off to be like the 5 seed and get a playoff home game versus playing in the SEC title game in Atlanta, and you get that opportunity to rest and then you get some momentum before you go into your next game? I think people are going to start to look at this more, and I want to give some other people credit, but they kind of framed it like this for me is, do we start looking at this like the NCAA tournament where people are hanging banners or they're putting things in their stadium for made semifinal for the playoff? Does that level of dynamic change?
I think it does.
I'm with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about any other tournament that people play.
That's right. College World Series made it. You came in 8th.
Yes, but super regional. We're hanging a banner. We're putting a sign up, right? I think you're going to start to see that with the playoff as well, and that will kind of predicate what people are determine what is success, right?
Can you imagine hanging a banner for like national championship runner-up?
Oh my God, no, I can't.
Well, I mean, it's like the Final Four in basketball. It's a great accomplishment, but you came in 4th.
It is. And so I wonder if they'll save that some, because you're talking, I don't know that the playoff is going to expand beyond 16, right? I think that's probably the sweet spot for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas the NCAA tournament is 64 teams. Well, I guess it's going to be 72 here very soon with the possible expansion coming up. But because the field is so much more vast, maybe that's why you have more banners. So I don't know if they'll start to reserve that for like semifinals. Championship game appearance. That just seems so weird to.
So to offer some context, like obviously the FCS has a 24-team playoff.
Right.
Teams will have stuff in their stadium of like playoff appearances.
Yep.
But not like national championship appearances, semifinal appearances. It's not the same as basketball. Okay. Now, you could save a coach because you talk about a coach, it's like, well, he's got 4 semifinal appearances in the FCS playoffs. Like, that's pretty good. But they're not going to hang a semifinal banner in the stadium, but they will acknowledge how many playoff appearances you have, similar to bowl appearances.
I think I'm okay with that, Zach. Like, I feel like anytime you make the playoffs in college football, that's a banner.
I mean, I'm with you. And I think not only that, but when you're talking about coaching resumes, Zach, and you tell me because you have far more experience at the FCS as far as how it's covered. But when you talk about coaches and they're being introduced at media days, did they say, and such number of playoff appearances? Is that like in their byline now? Is that part of their credentialing? Not how many SEC titles they have, but how many?
If they don't have a national title, yeah, like the little ESPN graphic would probably say something like that.
Like 3 playoff appearances.
Yeah, something like
or
that.
for like the program, right?
I think that's valid.
Like you got to define success too, like you kind of talked about. So like at the FCS level, the standard for a North Dakota State is not the same as a standard for a Mercer, just because resources and stuff. So like I remember I went to K-State for grad school. Their bus for the football team had all their bowl wins on it because a bowl win was a big thing for Kansas State. Because if you remember before Snyder, they were terrible.
Yeah.
So winning bowl games was huge. Where like in Auburn, man, if we started putting bowl wins on a trailer, the fan base would have a stroke.
Right.
Ask Gus about that.
Liberty Bowl champs.
No doubt. That's big.
Hey, fantastic topic there, Mitchie B. Good discussion. A little change up there. Keep us going, Zach.
4220. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from? Four two 20. You're live.
Hello.
How about you?
Hello.
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 You're live, man. We got you.
Hello.
Yes, sir. May I speak to Charles?
For Reeltown?
All right, so we've lost him. We'll let him call back in. I got the number memorized, so if he calls back, we'll get him on. 3803. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Matthew. I'm calling from Auburn.
How about you, Matthew from Auburn? Let me ask you something, Matthew. Do you spell it with 2 T's or 1?
You spell it with 2 T's, and I'm pretty sure most Matthews is always 2 T's, but I get that question a lot.
I thought I was special. Brian Matthews spells his with 1 T. I think last name Matthews is 1 T. First name Matthew is 2.
I agree.
I wonder if the gospel, Matthew.
That's true.
It's 2.
Matthew is 2. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
I
Let's
just
see.
got back from church.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. All right, Matthew, talk to us, big dog. What's on your mind?
Yo, what's on my mind is this head coaching thing. It's just keeping me up at night. Having a hard time sleeping because, I hope they know that we got to hire a young, good-looking coach. Somebody that's really going to inspire these players, somebody that's got a fire in their belly. I mean, we just have to get this hire right. I'm 22. I'm about to be 23. And for the past 12 years, I've watched every snap from every game 2 times over. I've known the height and weight of every player on the team down to the walk-ons, okay?
Nice. Respect.
And me and every other fan from China to Mexico to the loveliest village on the plains deserve better. My heart has been torn out and beaten over and over again. Over and over. So many sleepless nights just looking at the score on ESPN thinking if only we did this, if only we did that. I mean, John Cohen better commit his life to hiring the greatest coach to ever walk on the face of this earth. Because these fans deserve better. I deserve better. My family, my friends deserve better. We commit so much to this program. We bleed orange and blue unlike no other college fan base. Okay? So John Cohen, I hope he can understand this, that his life is meaningless unless he hires the greatest freaking coach of all time, okay? You guys get it. You guys get it. I hope John Cohen does, though.
Okay. I think that call speaks for itself, but Matthew, I would not disagree that I think a lot of fans right now feel as though that John Cohen needs to get this hire right. They are sick and tired of feeling empathy about their football program. They want to be inspired. They want something to cheer for, something to show up for. They've done it without a winner, and I think they feel as though it's time to be rewarded for that loyalty. So you're not alone in the feeling that maybe not as intensely, but you're definitely not alone in feeling as though you want a winner.
I do understand that, though, your frustration. I'm sure the majority of Auburn fans do, because I felt it last week against Vanderbilt. That was frustrating. So I understand. Now, I do want to – I think we talked about this a couple of weeks, and I thought it was worth mentioning again. The four guys that you mentioned, basically Allen Head's tier one right now, are the guys that we mentioned earlier. All four of those guys are current head coaches.
Yes.
Didn't we talk about the last time Auburn plucked a head coach from the SEC, or because that would be Drink? Tuberville was the last one, right?
Tuberville was the last. Now, Gene Chizik came from Iowa State, so another Power 4 program, but not an SEC program. So Drink and or Clark Lee would be poaching. That would be poaching from an SEC opponent.
So, but yeah, Matthew, I think you make a very good point, Matthew, with two T's. That and we all agree that John Cohen's legacy at Auburn, his reputation is on the line, as El Toro Freeman would say.
For sure.
Good stuff, Matthew. Appreciate you calling in, big dog.
0928. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama.
How about you, big dog? Talk to us, Kevin. Where in the heck have you been?
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me go Matthew with two T's on you. Talk to me, big dog. What's going on, Kevin?
Uh-oh. Kevin, you got to find that honey hole again, man.
How about Cam Coleman? He's good.
He is good. If he had been getting the opportunities the rest of the season as he did last week, Kevin, you might have been close to his touchdown total for this season.
Quite possibly.
But you know what, Kevin? To be honest with you, and Alan,
yeah, and
last week
Hamilton is doing good too.
Now that they're getting opportunities, but Cam Coleman is even better than I thought he was.
He's not necessarily better than I thought, but it's watching him be able to do what I imagined, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, maybe that's okay.
When you see 5-star, and then so many times at Auburn, how many times has a 5-star been an actual 5-star, right? That kid's an absolute NFL first-round pick if everything comes together for him. But to do that, I think you got to have a quarterback and a coach that's got a plan that's executable in a repetitious way to be able to continue to feed him the football.
Love to see all those targets him and Singleton got last week. Loved it, Kevin. I know you did.
4220. You're
There
live.
he is.
Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
All right, try this again this time. I don't know what the hell happened last time. It's Austin from Pasco-Chan, Mississippi.
Got you.
Hey, how about you, Austin?
What's going on, buddy?
Hello.
Just had a few thoughts about basketball. I don't really want to have anything to talk about football. So
Cool.
Just talk a little good and bad, and then I'll hang up, let y'all just talk about my comments. Start off with the bad. We'll finish on the good. The free throw situation is obviously terrible. I think the worst part about it is that we collectively and over the last couple of years have free throws have cost us a game, which is very strange for a team that has prided itself, and correctly so, on mental and physical toughness that Stephen Pearl talked about in the press conference a little bit. So that's a little strange that free throws continue to be an issue. It has lost us games in the past and lost us one tonight. So that's a little disappointing. Pettiford, 15 points is great, but on 14 shots, and I expect more from a point guard than 1 assist and 1 board. That's a little he's been underwhelming to start the season. So hoping he can get it going here soon. And then lastly, for a team that has been the last, couple of years under Pearl with Burgo, sideline out of bounds and baseline out of bounds have kind of been our bread and butter. And we had 3 possessions there with 20 seconds left and got 2 block shots, then kind of a fade towards the rim that didn't really result in anything. So I was a little disappointed in that as well. I got to be honest. I think I'm just disappointed. I don't think that's coaching or execution. I think Houston's just that good defensively. And sometimes you just got to live with being disappointed on a, end a game that doesn't go your way. Let's talk some good though. How many times did Houston stretch the lead out to 7 points and Auburn immediately came and fired back and got it back to within 2 or 3? Got a couple steals, got some defensive stops, turned it right back over. That was a great sign. Elijah Freeman is way further ahead than we thought he was, which is fantastic because there are some people that are not as far ahead as we thought they were. So he's picked up some slack, especially on the defensive end. 7 points isn't going to jump out to you, but watch the game and tell me his defensive effort is not literally outstanding. And then again, echoing Stephen Pearl's comments, we did not look outmatched physically or talent-wise against the supposed #1 team in the country. And if that doesn't, get you excited for the rest of the year, I don't really know what would. Parting thoughts as well. A loss is disappointing, right? Especially when you're in Birmingham and it's in front of 17,000 fans of your own fans, right? But yeah, you got to adjust expectations going in, right? This was always going to be a litmus test for us. And after coming in and realizing that should have won that game, it's okay to be more disappointed coming out of it than you would have been with this loss going in because of that additional expectation that gets added on. But then again, how nice is it to not be in full meltdown mode after a close loss? How nice is it to go to bed tonight disappointed, but knowing that you have a coaching staff that's going to continue to actually make progress and continue to put a team in positions to win games and is going to have that opportunity as well. And is probably going to get a few of them against teams that are just as good as Houston. All right, y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all.
Hey, Austin. Did I lose him, Zach?
Yes, he hung up.
Okay. Let me ask you, Alan, as a basketball guy, a basketball fan, a lot was made by some folks in the Auburn family that, the hire, the promotion of Stephen Pearl. But, how do you feel after watching that game? Just from today, how do you feel about Stephen Pearl being the head coach at Auburn and there not being really a search there?
Sure. I mean, I think when you see results like today, now again, close doesn't get you a dub, right? And I felt like he handled it quite well in the press conference after the fact, making it known that he's not accepting a moral victory. And I thought that was a great quote by him, but it kind of legitimizes some of the some people that had questions. It legitimizes his candidacy as somebody that's worthy of what has been established here at Auburn. And I understand why people were disappointed that there wasn't a national search. And I understand why people were disappointed that, they landed on potentially Stephen as opposed to this large name to continue the brand that has become Auburn basketball. But at the end of the day, like all coaching searches, you have to find the best candidate that fits Auburn and is going to be the best basketball coach that you can hire. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm probably not doing it well.
Well,
but I think there is a combination that you have to walk when you're in any program. And I don't know that you are necessarily going to be able to find somebody better that's going to be willing to come in and succeed Bruce, because there are a lot of coaches that want to come in being the guy after the guy, after that guy, right? You know what I mean? Like, not many people want to succeed somebody like Bruce, right? They don't necessarily want that weight of somebody that's built the program to the magnitude that he has. Stephen did. And again, tonight shows you what they're capable of. Now, this is one game. And like any other coach, I don't think it should ever be about one game. It should be about the body of work. And so he's got a whole season's worth of work in front of him for him to continue to push against and try to show people why he was the right person for the job. But I think this kind of game gets your attention and says, okay, there's something here. Right. Can they continue to build upon this? Because if they can, and they can get to the NCAA tournament, and then depending on how they handle the talent management gap, because they are going to have to go out and accrue players in the offseason to continue to propel this team forward. How he kind of navigates that is really going to drive, I think, people's thoughts of what he can be, and whether or not he's going to be able to coach up to the legacy of what his father created.
Very well said. I'm with you on that. I think a game like today is that it's so difficult. We've seen this in any sport, college football, basketball mainly, but being able to step in for Bruce Pearl, regardless of who you are, with the team that they have put together over the offseason, just a bunch of new guys, just a hodgepodge of talented guys from across the country in different, divisions. And so and to be able to go up against Houston and the coaching, the plays, I love everything. I think Austin, I'm with you on free throws, dude. I cannot stand poor free throw shooting. There is no excuse for poor free throw shooting. I can't. It's unacceptable. But I know the talent on that coaching staff. Yeah. Ira Bowman, Burgomaster, Corey Williams, Stephen Pearl. Those guys are good.
Very.
And I was very impressed that they were able to take that team down to the wire with, like Austin said, the supposed number one. Now, who knows what happens to Houston the rest of the way?
Yeah, to me, I hate early season rankings like this because you don't really know. There's not enough basketball that's been played at this point for you to have a real ranking on who's number 1, who's number 10, who's number 70, right?
Yeah, Houston could end up being 21, and we just saw 21 versus 22.
Exactly. So.
Or Auburn could be 3. Who knows?
Right. I mean, Auburn could be significantly better. It's a jumping off point for both of them. But I love seeing brands like this go against each other early season because you do get a better feel. When Auburn plays a non-conference schedule that's filled with, mid-majors, talented mid-majors, but it's hard to tell when you're not playing comparable athletes, right? Like you can play good basketball teams, but when you're not playing athletes that are the caliber of what you're going to see in SEC play, it's really tough for me to be able to tell you exactly how good this team's going to be. Now, on the hoof, Houston looks like a upper tier basketball team.
That freshman is unbelievable that they have.
Yeah, is he not, Zach? So, and then one other thing, as far as Tahad goes, he's not wrong that he's off to a tough start, but I would not expect Tahad ever to be an efficient scorer. I just don't. He's a volume player.
I hear you.
So just understand who he is, accept him for what he is. Now he's going to have nights where he's going to be hotter than this, and he's going to shoot a better clip. But he's always going to be a volume player. Think Damon Stoudemire when you think Tahad Pettiford. That's the kind of player that he is. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. He's a guy that can be downright scary when he's feeling it. He can go unconscious. But at times he's going to have to rein it in, and he won't necessarily play as well as you would like for him to, but take the good with the bad because I think there's going to be more good than there is going to be bad.
Yeah, you want that guy on your team and not across the bench from you.
For sure.
Hey, before we get to another call, I want to say if you're in the market for a new GMC Sierra, maybe a Chevy Silverado, give Caleb Schofield a call there at Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika, 334-531-0996. Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC is now celebrating over 33 years of serving East Alabama and West Georgia for sales, service, and parts. They have parts there. You can order parts there, believe it or not. Inventory is fantastic. Rode by there again the other day. 500 new and used vehicles on the ground and on the way. Loaded with over 200 brand new Chevy Silverados, GMC Sierra trucks, hundreds of pre-owned, ready-to-go vehicles out the door. Give him a call. 334-531-0996. Tell Caleb Schofield you want to. How about you special? Met a guy yesterday. Actually saw him, run into him again today. He was driving a GMC. What was it? A Sierra. Boy, it was a nice truck. It's a nice truck. He said, I got that. How about you special? So give him a call. 334-531-0996. Keep us going, Zach.
Y'all don't realize, but this is going to be a legitimate commercial one day. You're going to see How About You Special come across your TV one day.
I can't wait for it. 8212. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Paul, and I'm calling from Hartselle. How are y'all tonight?
Hey, how about you, Paul from Hartselle?
Doing good, Paul. How about you, buddy?
Hartselle used to have a great high school baseball team.
Now say that again, Jeffrey.
Back in my day, Hartselle was a fantastic high school baseball team.
Well, if I may brag, my son was a senior this past year, and they won the state championship.
There you go. They still are.
They've had some good teams, certainly in baseball. I wanted to know, after hearing Matthew's call, I really want to start a GoFundMe page to maybe get Matthew some, I don't know if it's Xanax, something to calm him down. He seemed like either that or we need to get him banned from having any sharp instruments or something, because I feel Matthew's pain.
Yeah.
Love the passion, right? Love the passion.
Yeah, being a 60-year-old Auburn fan, a friend of mine once told me being an Auburn fan is like having 2 hours to eat your favorite pizza and ride your favorite roller coaster. Sometimes it's a great day, and sometimes you throw up.
Yeah.
And
well put.
That's being an Auburn fan. And I embrace it. The highs are really high and the lows are really low. But my question to you, the four coaches that Alan mentioned, if you could give your opinion, this will be counting Pat Dye, this will be the 8th coach since starting with Pat Dye. Of those four, could you, in your mind, rank them where they would be on that list from Coach Dye all the way down to Coach Freeze, and then I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, I think you're saying, Paul, if like, where would you rank John Summerall, or where would you rank of those 8? Where does he fit into that list? Obviously, sure. Pat Dye being that one.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do. And Paul, I appreciate the question because you're bringing some difficulty to the show here. These guys, the ones from Pat Dye forward, they all coached at Auburn, right? And so you've seen what they've been able to do with Auburn's resources and Auburn's fan base and all the things that a platform like Auburn provides. And so I'm not going to duck your question, but I do want to make sure that I make it clear that the people that would be coming to Auburn are not coaching from those platforms. So it's a little bit more difficult to say what they would do because, again, I've seen guys come in and be able to handle Auburn, and I've seen guys come in and it eats them alive, a la Brian Harsin. So I think, obviously, any one of those coaches, in my opinion, are going to be above Brian Harsin, and they're going to be above Hugh Freeze off the top, just from what they'll be able to accomplish, because I think Auburn's in a better place from a culture standpoint, from a United administration standpoint, from a booster standpoint. I think everything's there for Auburn to win, but they need somebody that's able to come in and organize and put systems in place to help these players be successful and to change the actual culture to that of a winning culture, right? To that of competition throughout the building and not just accepting failure. And I don't know that that's necessarily happening right now, but it's just been far too long for me to think that every button is being pressed the way that it should to have this program where it needs to be. But I think they're above those two for sure. Now that whittles us down to Dye, Bowden, Tuberville.
I only got 7. Somebody help me here.
And
Dye.
Dye.
It went from Pat Dye to Terry Bowden.
Yep.
Tommy Tuberville.
Yep.
Chiswick.
Yep.
Gus.
Yep.
Harston. Yep. Freeze. That's 7.
Unless you count the interims.
I'm not.
Okay.
That's 7. So this will be the 8th. Okay, I think. Well, here's a interesting note. Of those 7, 4 won national titles at Auburn.
Yeah,
Pat Dye, Tommy Tuberville, Gene Chiswick, Terry Bowden, and Gus played for one. So 5 of the 7 either played or won a national title at Auburn. Harsin and Freeze are the only 2.
So to me, your top two are going to be Dye and Tuberville, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm good with that.
I
Are you
think
putting Gus at 3 or Bowden at 3 or?
I got to put Gus at 3 because
Me
he
too.
had more sustainable success than Bowden. Even though Bowden was electric when he walked in, it kind of fizzled when he had to recruit his own players.
Right. I'm good with that. 1, 2, 3. Gus being the third. I think Bowden by default is 4, and then Harson and Freeze are. I'm sorry, where I missed something. Oh, we got to put Chiswick in there.
You got to put Chiswick in, and then you got to put these guys in. And we're just going to call them a pool, right?
Sure.
Where would you put this
Collectively as one
collectively?
unit.
As a pool of candidates, where would you put them in comparison? And I think if we're going to go sustained success, I might put this group above Bowden and Chiswick, even though Chiswick won a national championship.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That would be right behind Gus. I would have them at 4.
Yeah, I would have them at 4, and I could argue that they might be 3.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? I think that highly of this pool of candidates. Now, again, I haven't seen them coach at Auburn, and I don't know how they're going to react to everything that's going to happen here. Because, again, Auburn can be, for the right candidate, you can win national championships here. And for the wrong candidate, you can be chewed up and spit out within 2 years. And we've seen it the last 2 hiring tenures. So until they get into the seat, you really don't know how they're going to be. But I do think with what they've been able to accomplish at other places with less resources. And yes, I realize that Missouri is an SEC program, but they don't have the same resources that Auburn has, and they don't have the fan base that Auburn has, and they don't have all the other, like the recruiting advantages as far as proximity to talent. Even though St. Louis is a great hub and they've been able to fish in Texas and do a couple of other things, that 6-hour bubble that you draw around Auburn, there's still more talent in that area than there ever will be in the Missouri footprint. There just is. And because of that, you're going to be able to get bounce back kids from the portal along with other high school recruits. And so the brand that is Auburn too. And I do want to mention this because this is something that was interesting that was brought up to me as far as why, somebody like Lane Kiffin might think about leaving Ole Miss and what he's built there for Florida, right? And the way it was put to me is that even though he's accomplished all the success at Ole Miss and that this person didn't believe he was going to leave, he still loses recruiting battles for kids sometimes because of the logo on his chest. And it has zero to do with what he's accomplished and even where those other programs are. But it has to do with the fact that they can put national champion behind that logo. And to this point, Ole Miss has not been able to accomplish that. Now, with Lane there, maybe he makes his own legacy and he's able to elevate that program to the point where they do win one. But I think the coaches that Auburn is looking at, these are guys that are looking at their current platform and they're saying, I can do this at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I can win a championship at Auburn. I know what I can do with that talent. And so that's why I think Auburn is appealing to people that are in the seats that they're in. And I do think that highly of the pool of candidates that you have an opportunity for Auburn to have sustained success, but John Cohen does have to get it right with the one he picks because they have to be able to come into Auburn and again, be able to take all the challenges along with all the things, the good things that Auburn brings.
Fantastic question there, Paul. Appreciate you calling in.
1295. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Ken from Anniston. How y'all doing this
Doing well, Ken. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I said a little prayer for Matthew while I was on hold. Bless his heart.
Prayers needed, big dog.
Seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, he kind of scared me there for a minute.
Matthew needs an out.
I'm listening to the list that Alan throwed out, and to me, that's a pretty sad list, in my opinion.
I hear you.
That's okay. Listen, there's nothing. No fan should be told how to feel.
With Clark Lee, what was he before Pavia got there? And Jerry Keel and the offensive coordinator. To me, they made that program more so than Clark Lee has. Yes, he's a head coach and he gets credit for it, but Vanderbilt was still the old Vanderbilt before Pavia got there.
How
With
much do
Eli,
you,
I just don't see the fit.
Mhm.
And if you look up his record against SEC foes with winning records, it's as bad as or worse than Hugh Freeze's was.
Those are games that didn't include Auburn because Auburn didn't have it. I'm with you on that, Ken. I listen. As far as Allen's list goes, to me, there's a tier 1 and there's a tier 2. The tier 1 for me is John Summerall and DJ Durkin, and the tier 2 is the Eli Drinkowitz and Clark Lee. Now, I don't have any information. That's just my gut. I could be absolutely wrong. They could hire freaking Clark Lee tomorrow. I don't know.
I'm just saying, before, Clark Lee to me hasn't proven himself as that he could go anywhere and win. That's just my opinion.
No, I think that's understandable.
Hired a G5 coach. What that scares me because of the Billy Napier situation at Florida. You go from playing the UABs and the Florida Atlantics to playing Tennessee and LSU in competition. And, John Summerall may be the best coach since Nick Saban. I don't know. But, and I'm not throwing a fence on any other school, but to me, Arkansas would be a better fit for him until he proved himself on this level.
Ken, do you have a favorite? Do you have man? I wish Auburn would take a look at this guy.
I heard a name off another podcast, the Lincoln Riley. Have y'all heard that name?
Not seriously, Ken. No,
I've seen it mentioned on the message boards. I haven't put much.
And I don't know a whole lot about Lincoln Riley. I know he coached at Oklahoma and then he went to USC, but they said he's wanting to get out of California. To me,
won a national title at Oklahoma, did he not?
Power 4 experience. John Cohen, just like everybody says, this is a can't miss. We don't need to be doing this again in 3 years or 4 years. We need somebody that's going to be there for
Bob Stoops.
7, 8, 10 years to get this program back on track.
Hey, Zach, what?
We all going to be calling in like Matthew in the next 3 years.
Ken, I was going to ask Zach. He probably knows. Zach, G5 coaches that have come into Power 4, who off the top of your head has had success?
Kirk Signetti is one. Urban Meyer, because he came from Utah, who at the time was a G5 program.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those would be like the two that stick out immediately. This is a little cheating, but people forget this. Lane Kiffin
from FAU
came from G5 and went up and became a head coach. So Lane Kiffin would be another one that had success.
A couple of bangers there.
I realize that Eli is not the top of everybody's list, and I'm not necessarily pushing or endorsing him, but he came from Group of 5 and has been able to accomplish that. And I want people to put it in perspective. And I get the SEC record, but he's still at Missouri. And I want you to look and see what his predecessor, Barry Odom, did.
You have to ask yourself, what is the ceiling at Missouri?
Exactly.
Has he reached it?
Yeah. What is the ceiling at that program? He reached 11 wins at Missouri. How many other times has that been accomplished in their history? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
I didn't know Missouri existed until they got in the SEC. So,
right. They're traditionally a Big 8 program, and I wouldn't tell you that they've ever been nationally relevant. Maybe the most nationally relevant they've been is when they played in back-to-back SEC championship games, and I think they got smoked in both. I know for sure they got smoked when they played Auburn.
Yeah. Who was the receiver they had? God, he was good.
You talking about on last year's team, Luther Burden? Yeah, it was Luther Burden last year, but I mean, if for those teams that went to the SEC championship game, I don't know.
Who was the coach? Was it Barry Odom the coach when they played Auburn?
No.
Who was it? Who was it?
Older cat. Him and Nick Saban actually coached together at Kent State.
Nick Saban, another G5 guy.
Yeah. Yep. There have been guys that have come from the G5 that have had success.
Anybody in the chat know who the Missouri coach was? Pinkel.
Yes, Gary Pinkel.
How about you, Devin Tinsley? Appreciate you, big dog. I'm not looking at the chat, by the way. I just happened to look down.
No longer chat watching.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. Oh, Timmy or whatever his name is. All right, good stuff, Ken. Did we answer it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
Last call of the night, 2127. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, I'm still on your 7-second delay or more.
We'll wait 7 seconds and respond.
I got a couple of things tonight to talk about. This is Nelson from Franklin.
Welcome back, Nelson.
Welcome back, big dog.
Don't worry, my wife is not going to be knocking on the door.
Okay.
And Jeffrey, her name is Maria.
Not Eunice.
My question is, how are we going to, if we don't keep Durkin, how are we going to retain some of the people we actually need to retain? The retention is my concern. Yes, we are in a better shape than we were at the end of Parsons' years, but how can we continue to, stay decent without losing a lot of people? We almost need kids who come to Auburn because they love Auburn, not necessarily because they love the coach
or the money.
There's a lot of great names out there.
Yeah, I hear you, Nelson. That's a big concern, and I think John Cohen has mentioned that more than once in these interviews. And what he's looking for, because Hugh Freeze, whether you want to admit it or not, he closed that talent gap
big time.
And Nelson's saying, what can we do to keep it from going?
He really did
back down here.
And then the second point I wanted to talk about was, I don't know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were talking about, the Vandy game coming up, and I was saying I wasn't sure if we were going to match up man to man, and Cole agreed with me. But then when I told him I thought we could beat Alabama, Cole was, after I got off the phone, he said he thought I was crazy. Well, I watched Alabama last night, and they are beatable. So
I agree.
Hopefully we can play them tough and have a really good game against them. We need it.
Absolutely, Nelson.
No, Nelson, I don't disagree with you. Back to your first question and the retention of DJ Durkin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is important to note that there are players on this team that do really like DJ Durkin and that they do want him to get the head coaching job. And there have been rumors that there could be a mass exodus if he were to not be retained. But what I want to remind everybody is kids are emotional. These are still 18 to 22-year-old kids at the end of the day. And I think once a new hire is made, and if they have an opportunity to sit down in front of these kids and tell them about themselves, and this is how we're going to use you, and this is the financial package that you're going to have here at Auburn, it will start to assuage some of those fears if DJ is not retained. again, I get that it feels sometimes like there's a level of anxiety about his retention, and I don't think you can make a hire based off another coach. Either you hire DJ Durkin, or you hire the other coach who gives you the best opportunity for sustained success over a long period of time. You cannot fear what's going to come next with a hire. You hire the best person, and then you employ them to do the job and to do it at the highest level they possibly can. So I'd never look at a hire as, well, you've got to retain this coach or you've got to retain that coach. No, you've got to make the best hire you possibly can as the head coach, and then, again, empower him to make the decisions that are right for the team. But some of that emotion, some of that angst, some of that anxiety, once these kids get an opportunity to sit down with whoever the head coach is, will subside. It's human nature to pull for the person that's in your building. It's human nature to pull for the person that you see every day. There were kids that pulled for Carnell.
Yeah.
Okay. There were kids that wanted Carnell to get that job. Okay. And they didn't necessarily leave. Now, I realize that the roster is in a much different spot right now than it was then. But I don't want to make too much of any one coach. I don't believe that. I believe programs are bigger than that. And I believe that the financial piece is bigger than that. And then there are kids that don't want to necessarily leave Auburn either.
Right.
You know what I mean? They've made friends here. They've got girlfriends here. They've got families here. They've got investment here. They got sweat equity on the field here. They don't necessarily want to leave. They will, but they don't necessarily want to. And so it's incumbent upon that coach to give them a reason not to. What was Nelson's next question?
He thought they could go head-to-head with Bama. Like, Bama's beatable here.
I don't disagree they can go head-to-head. What I will say is this. Alabama under Kalen DeBoer has been up and down at times. But when they've needed to get a win for the most part, they've tended to be able to get it done. And I think that Oklahoma game will have their full attention because now everything is on the line for them, right? SEC championship game appearance, playoff game appearance. Now, I'm not saying Auburn can't beat them. I think they damn well can line up and play with them.
I agree.
But Alabama's going to be on their A game. They're not going to sleepwalk into Jordan-Hare. So for anybody that feels as though you might be catching Alabama on a downturn, I don't expect that. I think if you beat Alabama, you beat them head up and you beat them with their best game.
Completely agreed. I absolutely think it's doable. I think I want to see Auburn against Mercer. I want to see some continuity. I want to see it continue. I thought they played some good football against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I want to see some more inspired football. I want to see some more competent offensive play calling and execution. I want to see less penalties. I want to see I think they've got 2 weeks to prepare for Bama, even though I'm not taking anything away from Mercer there, Zach. I think, hell, they're 9-1, 8-2 or something. They're a decent.
Yeah, they're 9-1. They clinched their conference championship 2 weeks ago.
Zach, let me ask you a question because you know these programs better than I do. How likely are they to hold guys out in this game so they don't get people banged up for the FCS?
Now, will
playoff?
they? I don't know if they will because this is the thing about FCS, man. These games are so big for those guys who might be draft prospects at the FCS level.
Right.
Because you remember the Alabama State offensive tackle that was drafted in the first round a handful of years ago, Titus Howard?
Yeah.
He got drafted off his Auburn film.
Ooh.
Carson Vinson last year from Alabama A&M got drafted last year, 5th round by the Ravens. Auburn film was a big part of that. So they have it. Listen, if you guys remember, I think it was Anthony asked me in July who is one FCS player I would pick to add to Auburn. It was the Mercer defensive end, Andrew Zock, who I think is going to be who's going to win the Buck Buchanan this year for the best FCS defensive player of the year this year. This kid might be auditioning for Auburn next year. Like if I text, me and Cole were texting the other day. I think he's in the SEC somewhere next year.
Wow.
If he gets a big enough check. I thought he was going to leave last year. He was the best defensive player in the FCS last year as a true freshman, freshman All-American. And I think this game's big for him. So I hope they don't hold him out because I do want these guys to get drafted. But if I'm Mercer's head coach, man, y'all aren't seeing any of my starters because the last thing I need is for me to lose my starting quarterback or a starting wide receiver. And then I go into the FCS playoffs banged up because they could technically position themselves to have 2 bye weeks. You don't play anybody against Auburn, and they probably are going to get a top 8 seed, which means they get a bye week in the first round of the playoffs the next week. So you could have 2 weeks of rest if you're Mercer. But I would be very surprised if their starters played the whole game.
I was trying to get a line for that game, Auburn Mercer. I don't see it.
I'll tell you what, Zach, and you and I talked about this privately, but I think Mercer may end up having the best quarterback on the field.
Yes, that kid's so good.
Yeah, he's ultra talented. I've taken a look at some of their tape, and he can play, man.
Yeah, he was the backup to a kid named DJ Smith to start the season. And Jeffrey, I don't see a line either. Sometimes the FCS lines take longer to come out.
Okay.
Just because it's harder. I would imagine Auburn would be somewhere in like the 30-point range.
Okay.
Still,
I would
favorite.
Think 28 to 31, something like that, Zach, would be my anticipation.
But the quarterback, I'm telling you, like, if you guys go watch the film, he's a true freshman out of North Carolina, Braden Atkinson. He's going to win the Jerry Rice Award this year, which is like the FCS Freshman of the Year award. The kid has only played in like 9 games and has thrown for like 3,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, and only 5 picks.
Damn, that's 400 yards a game.
Yeah, he can sling it, man. And like last weekend, I want to say he threw for another 306 touchdowns, and they won. I mean, they blew whoever they played out, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, this team's a good FCS team, but again, we saw Kentucky this weekend go up against Tennessee Tech, who was undefeated, and they won by like 30. I mean, at the end of the day, the depth is not. I mean, you got 63 scholarships going up against an SEC program. It's just never gonna match up very well.
No, you have to be playing a team without a heartbeat. A couple years ago, I think it was Sanford that almost knocked off Florida. They played a real tight game in Dan Mullen's last year.
Jacksonville State, Florida State, that 1 year.
Yeah, you got to be playing a team that's either really devoid of talent or is
Jacksonville State, Auburn.
Yeah. Oh.
A little closer to home there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Or lacks a heartbeat, right? Like you just walk into that game thinking that you're going to beat these kids, and they show up and play like they're Super Bowl.
Right.
Or like when South Alabama started their program. Remember they knocked off Mississippi State, I want to say, but they were just D1, but they had the athletic department like an FCS program when they beat Mississippi State.
Is that Joey Jones?
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Sweet.
What was his nickname?
I don't know, but I remember him beating Auburn in, 85.
Yeah. No, Joey's a good football coach, man. Troy's done that a couple of different times when they were moving up from D2 to FCS.
App State.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Michigan upset, but I mean, they were giving people hell. But that was people didn't watch FCS football, and I get it. And I was still young at the time, but that App State team three-peated as FCS national champions the year they beat Michigan. So that was not your average
they were loaded.
team.
They were loaded.
Well, we're going to find out, see what Auburn's got. I think it's a 1:00 kickoff next Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium. The call-in show will continue. I'm going to be in Alberta, Canada.
Yeah, Jeffrey's going international for this one.
Chasing whitetails. Maybe I'll be able to hang up a.
That's it. Whitetail deer just before everybody else.
Yeah.
Let's clarify in the chat. Whitetail deer.
Cole and Alan will be here for the recruiting show as well as the call-in show. Everything will stay status quo. Cole will be back this week. I mean, he's already back, but he'll be back on the show this week, Tuesday or Wednesday night for the recruiting show, and then again on Sunday night. Fantastic. Listen, we had a broad reach of questions, and I loved them. It was basketball. It was, coaching.
For sure.
It was a wide net of questions. We really appreciate everybody calling in. Certainly appreciate everybody listening and watching. And if you haven't forgotten already, don't forget if you need to get some real estate help or real estate done in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, Jessica Andrus with First Realty. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. Need a truck in the area? Call Caleb Schofield there, 334-531-0996. How about you special? All right, folks, that's going to do it for tonight. Like I said, look for the captains back next week, and y'all make it a good show. I'm going to come back and watch it, and hopefully have some pictures to share. That's it for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. For Alan, for Zach in the back who came to the front, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane. See ya.